Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Beginner to Expert. This is part 14. So in this tutorial, I will explain how to load dashboard after user logged in. So let's get started. Okay, so in order to create the dashboard layout, we need to create the dashboard module like account page. So here inside the pages you can check the account that we have created for the account module. So similar way we have to create the dashboard module. So for that I am inside the app src app pages. Then we need to use that angular cli to generate that module nggm, then dashboard. It is being generated now we need that dashboard component. Create the dashboard component. Again I will take help from angular cli. So ngJSC, then dashboard, and I don't want that folder to be created again. Now we need to, okay, so we have to check whether that layout component got modified or not. Okay, here it is not modified. That means if we go to the dashboard module, here dashboard component got modified. Okay, we need to change the path. So here I will press control dot, so intelligence will come for us. Now next step to create the dashboard layout. So for that cd, then we have to go inside the dashboard. Then we need to create the layout ngg, then c, then layout. I named as called layout. So this would be like dashboard layout and it will be created under the dashboard folder. Okay, now next step we need to configure that dashboard route. So for that I will use that on constant variable that is called routes, and which will be like routes collection. And here I will set the path as root. If root path is coming, then I will load the component as dashboard, sorry, layout component, and also need to call that children. Need to configure the children route collection as well, because the dashboard will have so many components like user component, user profile component, and employee component, and a rest of other things also as well. So those are the components will act as a children component, because the main layout is here dashboard layout. Okay, so here also I will configure a path will come, then I will load the dashboard component. Now next step to configure means register the route collection with the help of router module dot for child. So here we need to pass that route collection variable. Now my routing configure is being done, so close this. Now next step, so this is all about the dashboard module, but once user logged in, then we need to redirect the user to the dashboard path. So for that we need to configure the dashboard module route configuration in that app routing module page like we have done for the account page. So here we are doing that dashboard routing configuration to load the dashboard module in the runtime. So for that I will give a path. I'll put path like app slash dashboard. Here I will change a little bit the name. I will replace that account with the name of dashboard. Here I will put dashboard module. Okay, now my routing configuration has been done. Now we need to check that everything is getting compiled or not. So for that ng build, so it will help us to check whether any error is there in the application or not. Okay, now my project is compiled and everything looks good, so no error is there. So now next step, we need to write some code for the login component. So for that we need to go that login component and login component HTML as well. So here I will add one event, submit, and here I will attach one custom event like on login form submit. Okay, and I will declare this inside the login component. So public. So if you not mention any access specifier, then it would be by default public inside the TypeScript. Okay, so here I am mentioning it over here ng login on from submit, and for time being I am using that ng model. So later on I will discuss about that reactive form, how do we validate the form and how do we access means get the values from the inputs. So here I will write like login dot username. I will copy and paste it to the password control, and I will change the variable name as password. Now here we need to take one variable like login, and that login will have that username by default blank and password should be blank. Okay, now here we need to check that password field is type password correct only, otherwise whatever password we will type that would be visible, but that is not correct way. So here everything looks good. Okay, next step, we need to create one common HTTP helper service, and that service will help us to call the backend, and each and every whatever header or token we need to set there only we will set, and we will keep it in one place. Later on if any service URL changed or any header token parameter has been changed, then we will change it one place, then a remain code will be same. So this way we can make our application with flexibility and maintainability. So for that I will create here inside app, I'll create one folder that is called services. So we will keep those services here, those are public for this means project, or you can say the services, those means which will shared throughout the application. Here I will create the service http helper service. So it is being created. Now that http helper service we need to configure. So by default this is injected with root, that means application, that it means layout module, it is being injected. Because now one question may come to your mind that how do you get to know that http helper service is will be injected in the layout module? So yes, obviously, so if this http helper service will not found any module inside the service, then by default it will be injected inside that root module. So here it is root module. So that's why whenever you create the service, any service, custom service, so by default Angular will provide this key provided in. Okay, now in my previous session I have already created that reusable http helper service. I will copy it from there only. Okay, so here everything is written, and here we need to inject that http client okay. Now I have injected that http client, and what are the other things is there? Okay, so get and map. Okay, we don't need the http client to be imported from Selenium WebDriver, so it should be from Angular core. So here you can check that Angular common part is there only. Now we need to inject that map from RxJS. Okay, so for that I will copy paste from over here. So actually this is an operator from the RxJS, reactive.js. Okay, so I have written one web API service, and that service actually accept that content type to be form URL encoded. Okay, so for that from URL encoded, so here I configured the content type. Now this is the post sorry, this is a fetch method, and I will write the post method similar way. I will copy and paste the same method, and here I will rename post data. Okay, so same parameter would be like another extra parameter here, data, so that would be any type. So I will change over here, instead of get I will write post, and here we need to modify that request JSON object to a form URL encoded. So here JSON dot stringify, and the data to be there. Okay, so this is basically for instead of posting raw JSON, we are posting as a string. Okay, so that JSON to be converted as a string, and our server side will accept this request, otherwise it won't accept the request. So for that only I have changed, and the rest of the things will be remain same. Okay, Okay, now I have to go that login component over here, and we have to inject that HTTP helper service. Over here, so that HTTP helper service, I need to put that relative path. Okay, then service slash HTTP helper. Okay, now next step here, we need to call this HTTP helper dot post data. Here first is relative URL, so I will keep my base URL in the environment.ts file. So here I will write service base URL. So that service base URL would be like this slash API. So this will be my service base URL, and here I will create one more constant file. So that constant file name would be like endpoint constant, and whatever means all the service endpoint to be reside in that constant. Now here I will write export constant end endpoints. Okay, so better means constant name should be like all caps, and in between the words we need to put one delimiter with the underscore. Okay, so better means best practice to keep like this. Now I will put like login here, and I will copy this and paste it over here, and I will import the required file. I'll put the dates login. Okay, now okay, next parameters is the data. So here my data would be like dot login model, and configs I don't want to pass any configuration right now. Okay, next step, to subscribe the response, whatever response is sending by the server. So for that I will subscribe it. Sorry, response, and I will pass one arrow function over here, and I want to log that response in the browser console. So if you hover this method, actually this method returning one observable. Okay, so that observable nothing but one event. So once you subscribe it, then only that HTTP call will be going in the server, and you get the response. Okay, now let's open the browser. Everything is working or not. So I will show you in the console so that we can understand properly. So here you can check. Okay, refresh the page. Okay, here one error is coming like can't bind to ng model since it is not a known property of input. Okay, so if we work with the form and ng model, then we need to inject that forms module in the root module. Okay, so here we need to check that forms module is not there. So we need to inject it, forms module. So sometimes actually it is not giving us that intelligence, so don't worry, here you can import it. Import from, as we know, this is the Angular core part, Angular forms. So now if you go and then you can edit. Okay, now you can check. Okay, some other error is coming. So here it is showing that ng model, since it's not a, okay. So as we created that module, so that account module actually is loading from our routing module. So this is basically a load children. That means runtime phase only that account module actually is being loaded. So we need to set that forms module inside the account module. So here we need to put that forms module. Now save the page, and no need to put that root module over here. So because whenever application is compiling, that time that application doesn't know about that forms module, so that's why we removed it. Now that application login page actually came, but still some error is there, so we need to check what are those. Okay, if ng model is used within a form tag, then either the name attribute must be set or the form control must be defined as standalone. Okay, so as we are using that ng model, so for that we must have that name property, that like user name, and that password also will have that name password. Now save the page and reload the browser again. Another more error is coming, like static injector error. Okay, so this is basically HTTP client related error. So as we are using that HTTP client inside that HTTP helper service over here, so that HTTP client, so Angular actually doesn't find that where actually HTTP client resides. So for that we have to inject that layout module .ts file. Here we have to inject that HTTP client module. That HTTP related any information actually resides in that module, HTTP client module. Save the page and refresh the browser again. Here you can check all error has been gone. Now we can open that login component and we can put a debugger over here. Now if I click, I will change that path. Now you can check that login URL is here. Now login model like here. Now once I post it, okay, I can go inside that HTTP helper service. Here we need to check. Okay, here only relative path we are providing, but in order to call the service we need to put provide the full URL, like absolute URL. So that base path we need to append with this relative path. So to achieve this, I already discussed in my previous video about the interceptor. Okay, so for time being, I'll open that HTTP helper service, and here we can append this environment dot, sorry, I think that production environment file got injected over here. I don't want that production one. We can reuse it in the later session. So environment dot service base URL plus this relative URL. Okay, same thing I will do for post method only. Okay, now save the page and reload the browser. Sorry, admin 123, press enter. Now close all the tab, open HTTP helper service and put one debugger over here. Now you can check that base URL along with that relative URL. It will create one absolute URL and it will call the service. As you have seen over here, it already called the service, and acknowledgement we got from the service that invalid credentials. Okay, so if we put the valid credential, then only we can get that token for the particular user. Okay, so now I will open that login, and here I will put the credential. Now you can check it whether we are getting the token for this user or not. Here, now if I press enter, then here you can check, see acknowledgement we got as login successful, and data the API has been provided, that name Vishwajit Jana and token for this year. This token actually basically a JWT token, and if you are new with the JWT token, then you can learn from this JWT token website. So now we got the correct information. So here just we need to check that whether we are getting the token or not, valid token. So if we are getting the valid token, so here response.data.token. So here we need to check that response and response.data and response.data.token. If it is there, then we will set the token in the browser local storage, or session storage. So okay, so if you are not familiar with that browser storage, different kind of storage, then I will be explaining in my upcoming video. So what is the difference between the local storage and session storage? So here I will write that local storage dot set item. Now here it will local key, storage key. So here I will put like current user, and I will provide that data over here, and if you can check that value to be string, so that's why, but my JSON response is JSON format, so I will convert it to the stringify. Okay, now that response will, that JSON means user information data to be stored in that browser session. Now I will copy this, I will navigate user to the dashboard. So for time being, I already injected this router in that class, and that router class is having actually that navigate method. Now if you open, okay, routing module, here I have configured for to load the dashboard module, that app/dashboard, so that's why I have given over here. Now save the page and reload the browser. Okay, here I'm providing the correct credential. Now if I press enter, then I got that token. Now if I debug this line, then actually that token has been set. You can check it in the application tab. So here local storage, and my domain is localhost 4200 here, and here you can check that key is set as current user and the value as in string format. So here all the information is here. So next time whenever user go to the dashboard page, that time if I refresh the page again, it will read the token and send it to the server. In my upcoming video I will be showing all the details. So now if you go to the dashboard, here you can check the dashboard path has been changed from account to dashboard. Now you can check the dashboard, that layout has been works, and but dashboard component, the text is not coming, as because we didn't provide that router outlet to the dashboard layout. So here if you open that layout module for the dashboard, okay, open here dashboard, this layout component. Now if you provide over here a router outlet, now save the page and reload this dashboard. Here you can check that dashboard works, that means dashboard component is having, if you open that dashboard component HTML, here it is written dashboard works. Now this layout is having actually that navigation. For timing we commented that. Now it's time to cut, sorry, here. Cut it, and I will paste it to that my dashboard layout page over here. Now I will uncomment this. Okay, and I will keep this router outlet inside the main tag. So now save and refresh the page. Here you can check that navigation actually coming, and dashboard text, the dashboard content also is coming. Now next step, to show in the navigation right sidebar that welcome to that username, and if user click logout, then user should go to that login page. Okay, that's all for the day, and try it by yourself. And still if you have any queries, please don't forget to put a message in the comment section below. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.